you provide a solution to a genuine problem, you will make money.
Hello, Emma Mills here, and welcome to this week's episode of MiTV, which I am so happy to announce features Chris Ducker. He is a long-term friend, a mentor, and I know he's going to be able to deliver so much value for you. He is a serial entrepreneur. He's the virtual CEO of 3 businesses with over 350 staff across the globe. He's an international keynote speaker. He's been featured on Forbes magazine, the BBC, the Huffington Post, Entrepreneur, Inc., literally you name it, and he has been featured on it. He's also the author of 2 best-selling books, which will teach you all about how to run a business based on being a youpreneur, and also how to create the business that you want and love, so that not everything revolves around you and has to go through you. I really hope that you love this week's episode with Chris. Chris, thank you so much for being a part of the MiTV interview series. I super appreciate it. And even more so, we met back in 2014. Do you remember in Wolverhampton?
I do. The Wolverhampton racetrack.
Yeah, the business expo that was there. And you were keynote speaking there, weren't you?
Yeah.
And at that point, I'd first heard about you from Youpreneur and Virtual Staff Finder and the Virtual Freedom book. But prior to that, and one of the things I want to dig into first is your entrepreneurial and business journey prior to the personal branding, because there is so much that happened there that led to everything that you do now and the way your business runs and the way your life operates now. Yep. So I thought if we just start back with 2004, you started the first business in the Philippines, Live to Sell. 15 people, I think it was.
15 people. 2 of them were me and my wife.
Oh, really?
As well, yeah. We were the cheap ones. Everybody else was expensive. We started with 15 people. It was, fundamentally it was like a small call center environment. We had 15 people on the phone working for US companies, lead generation, appointment setting, that kind of stuff. And, we grew it up to about 80 people, I think, by the end of the first year.
Oh, wow.
We got very, very lucky. There was a client in town kind of doing a little call center shopping. And they were going around to a few different centers, and what they saw before they came to us, they didn't really like. Literally on the way to the airport, they had their bags in a van. On the way to the airport, they came to our tiny little center, and I closed the deal right there and then. And so we went from 15 to 45, literally like that overnight. And then they added a whole bunch of people over the course of working with us over the first year or so. And then it was kind of like, year 2, we're at sort of 120, year 3, 180, year 4, year 5, year 6, and now we're up to like 350 plus people.
Oh, wow. And what was the move to start the business? Had you run a business before that?
I had a sales training consultancy, which was in effect a one-man show with a PA, fundamentally. And so I was working with some of the larger corporations in the Philippines, helping them with their sales teams, training their sales teams, that sort of type of thing. I also won a agency kind of certification with Citibank, where we did a lot of their personal loans and credit card application trainings for their telemarketers and that sort of stuff as well. So it was fun, but it was very monotonous, very boring, very repetitive, and I wasn't really enjoying it all that much. And so I took a exclusive consultancy deal with an infomercial business in Miami, Florida, still based over in the Philippines, which was where I was living, but working for this company in Miami. And so the whole kind of, 1 o'clock in the morning, the commercial comes on the TV and but wait, there's more, and all that kind of stuff. I wrote scripts, I did voiceovers, I helped cast infomercials, I helped develop product line and branding, I helped distribute, and I basically did pretty much everything. And we had, millions and millions of dollars worth of sales in those couple of years, which was great. But the guy that I was fundamentally working with at the time, away from work, lovely guy. Actually, probably one of the nicest people I've ever met. Floor seats at the Miami Heat games. So high-fiving Dwayne Wade and some of the other basketball players over there, which was great. VIP tickets at Prince's pre-Super Bowl show at Hard Rock in Miami. I mean, we're talking like high-level coolness, right? Go to the work mode, nightmare. Micromanaging a-hole. I've edited myself there a little bit. Just an utter nightmare. Made me BCC him into every email. Was reading my email, replying to my emails before I could reply myself as me. And I'm like, I didn't say that. When did that go out? Sort of type thing. So it was a nightmare. So the time had come to kind of really hit the pause button. We did that, and that's when we built Live to Sell. Myself and my wife, yeah.
Okay, so the journey through building Live to Sell, I know that actually triggered Youpreneur and a lot of everything that came after it. So if you, I think it's 2009 that you suffered quite bad burnout, which you've been really vocal about, haven't you? And you've blogged about it. It's triggered so many good things in your life as well, I would think now. So would you share with me a bit more about the burnout and what happened in 2010?
Yeah, I mean, it was, when I say I hit a wall at 180 miles an hour, it genuinely felt like that. Physically, mentally, emotionally. What happened was actually I'd been burning the candle at both ends for probably close to about, I'm going to say probably 2 years. And we're talking like hardcore, 15-hour days, 6 days a week for a couple of years. That was our really good growth spurt. So that was kind of like, we hit 1 million turnover for the first time. And we start, developing all these great internal company culture programs, and our retention goes through the roof and all this kind of stuff. And from a business perspective, everything was golden. But from a personal perspective, I was an utter mess. I was drinking way too much coffee. I wasn't exercising. My diet was worth zero. I wasn't sleeping properly. I was spending no time with really my wife or my younger children. And it was just kind of just like, something has to change. And I knew it, but I ignored it, and I ignored it, and I ignored it. And then one morning I woke up and I fundamentally couldn't get out of bed. My body just gave up on me. I was exhausted. Taken to a hospital. I was instantly put onto an IV for liquids. I was diagnosed with acute exhaustion and minor amounts of depression.
Oh, wow. So you were like mid-30s at this point?
Yeah, I was like 30, what was it? 35, 34, 35. Yeah. And so I was in the hospital for about a week. Antidepressants for about a month or two. Took myself off them. Didn't like the way they made me feel. Slept a lot though, that being said, which was good. Guess I needed that. And then, right between Christmas and New Year, me and my wife Urs, we went away to a local resort for a couple of nights. No phones, no laptops, no iPads, nothing at all. And we're just like, we need to figure out how to remove me from the business as much as physically possible going forward into 2010 and beyond. And that's where the virtual CEO goal, which is now a little infamous, became a thing. And I still have a little, like when you stay in hotels, you get the little notepads next to the phone on the bed, right? I still have the Shangri-La Mactan Cebu, Philippines piece of paper where I scribbled and kind of sketched out the words virtual CEO. I still have that on my desk along with a little piece of coral that my son picked up as we were walking along the beach, and it kind of sits on my desk all the time. All these years later, still there.
I love that.
Yeah, it was a major breakthrough, because what happened was we went back after that, and along with that, it's like you're sitting at bars and in restaurants, lots of little scribbling of ideas and notes, and we had probably, 50 pieces of paper and napkins and everything else, right? And we kind of put them all together, and we need to figure out like a plan of attack here as to how you become the virtual CEO by all these things. And what happened was it fundamentally became the 3 lists to freedom, which is the most famous exercise from Virtual Freedom from the book. And so we put all these notes and everything into 3 piles of hate doing, do but struggle to do, and shouldn't be doing. And that became the 3 lists to freedom. And we discovered very quickly that the hate to do pile was by far the biggest one. Like, I had fundamentally hated my business. I started to hate my own business. And I didn't want to feel like that because there was hundreds of people at that point reliant on me for their income, to look after their families and everything. And so that was the beginning of it. And I started blogging January 2010. And I'm going to blog the journey. I didn't know what a blog was. Kind of just a little research. Everyone's talking about blogs. So it's not blogging, right? Which is basically just writing on a computer. And publishing it on the internet, you know. And so I started blogging. And then in April, started podcasting, April 2010. Started doing YouTube videos. And between sort of the beginning and the end of that year, I'd amassed this following. And there was a lot of other people that were saying, oh my God, like, you know, I've just gone through burnout, or you've helped me avoid burnout. Like, this is great. Like, and by the end of the year, I'd removed myself from the business day to day, ultimately. We hired 8 people to replace me. That's how many hats I was wearing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 8 people were hired. It was, it was the beginning of the rest of the career, really.
Yeah. And what I love about it so much as well is that you take responsibility for what's happening. So, because I feel like there'll be so many people that are in their business hating it, absolutely knackered, just thinking, where is the light at the end of the tunnel? But it comes down to you, isn't it? Everything you create in your life is all the decisions you've made and everything you do, and just you like sticking, drawing a line in the sand and saying, can't do this anymore.
Someone's got to change.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like so many people I think just need to realise that there is another way. You just need to be committed to doing it. And
well, I figured out I could sit there and be sorry for myself, which I was kind of over doing already, or I can actually just take some action, get off my butt and make it happen. And that's exactly what I did. Now, I will say though, it wasn't easy. I was lucky to have a very supportive wife to help me through it. I was lucky to have a really good core, although very small, a very core team of management staff that understood that without me at the helm, the chances were this thing was going to sink, right? Yeah. So they kind of understood the importance of it as well. And like I said, over the course of the year, we ultimately achieved the goal and I was removed from the business day to day. Now also something else happened as a result in 2010 of that goal, and that was in August. We got a blog comment on a post that I had written about delegation and virtual assistants. And at the time there was a book called The 4-Hour Workweek written by a guy called Tim Ferriss that was very, very popular. And we were kind of riding on the coattails a little bit on that content. And somebody had commented on that blog post saying something along the lines of, I still remember the guy's name. His name's Michael. And he had a Johnny Bravo avatar. Remember the cartoon?
Yeah, the big hair.
Yeah. Hey, pretty mama. Remember that guy? He was great, right? So I still remember Michael, the Johnny Bravo. If you're watching, you've helped me make a lot of money, Mike. Don't come for me. But Virtual Staff Finder was born as a secondary business out of that blog comment because Mike said, if there was a service in the Philippines that I could trust, that I knew I could trust to find a virtual assistant, I'd pay for that any day of the week. 2 weeks later, we launched the Virtual Staff Finder website.
Oh, wow. So
it was a very quick turnaround, and it spun out a new business. And now we fast forward 9 years later, we've helped over 7,000 VAs in the Philippines find work.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I've made a lot of money in the process. I'm unabashed, I'll just tell it how it is. You provide a solution to a genuine problem, you will make money if you do it right. And we've made a lot of money and we've helped a lot of people.
So listening to the community, listening to your customers, listening to your audience, really key to creating a successful business.
If you ask the questions, how can I help you? And you get replies and you don't pay attention and genuinely open up your ears and listen to those replies, more for you as a business owner. Your customers will fundamentally shape the way that your business grows based upon their wants and needs and desires. That's a tweetable. It's true though. And that's all I've done. Every other business that I've started and developed and grown since then has been as a direct result of just listening to our customers and serving up to them what they want and need.
Of course.